Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to MiM Monday. I'm your host, Nick Lazaga, and this is Mickey in Minutes Live. It's time to make Monday magical. Thanks so much for joining me. If you're joining me live in the chat, be sure to chime in and let's make this a conversation. Go ahead and give me your comments about these news stories. And if you're watching this after the fact as a reel or on YouTube, be sure to leave some comments and let me know what your thoughts are about the latest Disney news. And that's what we're going to talk about. We have some interesting news stories to talk about today on Mickey in Minutes. Also, trying this new thing where I'm going to get this audio feed on the actual podcast feed. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, hey, what's going on? And yeah, this is MiM Monday, so this is our weekly news show. Let's get right to the news. I see some people entering the chat already. What's going on, everybody? Nice to see you guys. So, today is the first day of fall, but nobody told the weather, apparently. Here in Texas, it's still like 100-something degrees, but it is, in fact, the first day of fall. So, since it's the first day of fall, why don't we start with some Christmas stories? No, for real though, we're starting with Christmas. So the first story today that I want to talk about is they announced the Candlelight Processional hosts for Epcot this year. If you don't know, Candlelight Processional is the annual show they do over at Epcot at the America Gardens Theater, where they have a celebrity narrator and a choir and an orchestra and everybody, and they tell the story of Christmas, the story of Jesus Christ's birth. And it's a really great tradition that they do every single year, and I'm super stoked on it. We went a couple years ago. I think we went in 2019, and we saw amazing celebrity narrator. We saw Neil Patrick Harris. Now, I guess part of this news story is that Neil Patrick Harris is not on the lineup this year. Apparently, he's doing a show on Broadway this year, so he's not going to be available for Candlelight. But not to worry, there are some amazing celebrities filling in as well, like some that I'm really just personally excited for. I just went to Disney World like a couple weeks ago. If I can go back and see Candlelight, I absolutely would. So let's talk about some of these names. So Constance Wu, that's a new name. Jordan Fisher, unless I'm wrong, he's the guy who sings the Happily Ever After song. He was also on The Flash, right? So the Flash TV show on the CW. So that's pretty cool. Jennifer Garner, another DC character, right? She was in the Daredevil movie as Elektra. Am I just like a superhero guy? That's all I know people from, apparently. Ashley Eckstein, she's going to be there. She's the owner of the clothing company called Her Universe, and she's also the voice of Ahsoka for Star Wars fans. So that's really cool. Ralph Macchio, the Karate Kid. Am I right about that? That's crazy. Lisa Ugram's, I'm sorry, I don't know who that is. Marlee Martlin, don't know who that is. Henry Winkler, that's awesome. Happy Days, right? Lauren Daigle, this is one of the people that I would love to see. She's a fantastic Christian artist. She's a singer. If you haven't ever listened to Lauren Daigle's music, please check her out. She has this soulful, angelic voice, and she's just incredible. I saw her live in concert maybe 2 years ago, and she is just phenomenal. So check her out. Gary Sinise, so Lieutenant Dan from Forrest Gump. Also, he's an Epcot guy himself, right? He's in the pre-show for Mission Space. Brendan Fraser, yes, the guy from The Mummy. So that's awesome. All right, that's another one I would love to see. Brendan Fraser. Oh, that's so cool. I'm also, all right, I grew up being a huge fan of George of the Jungle. I know that's weird, and I don't think people have ever said the phrase huge fan and George of the Jungle in the same sentence, but I will. I remember having a birthday party at the beach, and one of the gifts I got that year was the George of the Jungle CD. There's a soundtrack, and I remember playing that super loud, super loud, because it was my birthday, and I'm sure a lot of people were walking by, maybe not knowing that was the George of the Jungle soundtrack, but there was like a Weird Al song on there, and I love that. That was great. Um, anyway, yeah, Brendan Fraser. So Louis Fonzi, I don't know who that is. Joel Smallbone. That's another one that I'm particularly excited for. He's one of the singers of a band called For King and Country. They're a fantastic Christian band, and they're incredible. I've seen them live twice, and they just put on an amazing show. So yeah, Joel Smallbone. They did a movie recently, or he's been in a bunch of movies, I guess. But they did a movie about their band, and he was in that movie. And yeah, Joel Smallbone, again, highly recommend. Check out For King and Country. Amazing, amazing band. Brie Larson, like from Captain Marvel. And then Cheryl Lee Ralph. I'm sorry, I don't know who that is either. But those are the narrators this year. So yeah. Who do you want to see narrate Candlelight this year? Let me know down in the comments below. If I were to make it down this year, for me, it would be either Lauren Daigle, Brendan Fraser, or Joel Smallbone. I think those would be really great. So yeah, let me know in the comments. Who do you want to see host Candlelight? Or I guess another question would be, who have you seen host Candlelight before? Because like I said, I've seen NPH host, and I was a big How I Met Your Mother fan, so that was always really cool. That was really cool for me to see that. But let me know. And sticking with some oh, I didn't tell you. I was gonna say sticking with Christmas, but actually I have another thing to say about Candlelight. They announced the dates for when you can start booking this Candlelight dining package. Because if you don't know, Candlelight fills up, especially depending on who the narrator is. It really fills up. You might not get a seat. And a way to guarantee that you get a seat is by booking a dining package. So October 14th, that's the first day where you could book dining packages. And the dates that this Candlelight show is running is November 28th through December 30th, most days. There's probably a couple days in there that aren't doing shows. But basically with the dining package, you're booking a restaurant reservation and paying a little extra, but guaranteeing that you get a spot for Candlelight. And that's a great idea. When we saw Candlelight, and we saw Neil Patrick Harris, we did a dining reservation over in the Germany Pavilion, and it was totally worth it. So yes, I highly recommend, especially if you're going to see one of those really popular ones, to go ahead and do a dining package. But anyways, more Christmas, because first day of fall, we got to talk about Christmas. I mean, all the Christmas stuff is out of Hobby Lobby already, so might as well. But the other thing I want to talk about is that Santa Claus at Epcot is going to be meeting this year in the Odyssey. Well, I mean, not in the Odyssey. He's moving from the Odyssey to Communicore Hall. So he's been meeting in the Odyssey for a few years now, but they're actually moving him over to Communicore Hall, which, again, if you don't know, Communicore Hall is the flex space that they built recently over in Epcot in a former Future World section. And, of course, the name is a callback to the old Communicore buildings that used to be there that then became Innoventions. And now they're now one side is Communicore Hall, and the other side is now Connections Cafe, Connections Eatery, and the shopping venue over there and everything. But anyway, so Santa Claus will be meeting over there, and that's really cool. And I'm really wondering what they're going to do, because every year, since Communicore Hall's opened, they've been getting better and better with what they're putting in there. And I know last year at Communicore Hall, they promised this big Christmas tree forest sponsored by Balsam Hill. And we ended up getting like maybe 4 or 5 Balsam Hill trees kind of at the entrance. And people were disappointed with that. But they've been getting better and better with what they did. I was just there a few weeks ago, and they still had a Goofy Core going on, which, wasn't for adults. But it was a really cool space for kids to literally play with Goofy. Like Goofy was in there and they were hanging out and they were doing like hula hoop games and stuff, and it was really cool. And there was like a DJ or something in there. So I think they're just getting better and better with what they're doing with Communicore. And now having Santa Claus meet in there, I think that's a really cool use of that space. And I'm very curious how they're going to decorate the space. What are they going to do with Communicore, with Communicore Hall to make it festive? I'm really curious. I'm looking at some pictures of Santa Claus meeting in the Odyssey, and it looks like they had like the backdrop looking like a pop out card, like kind of like cardboard cutouts, but like intentionally looking like that, not like cheapy, but like those cards that like you open and they pop out at you. So that's what it looks like in this picture from, I guess this was last year. So I'm wondering, they have this whole big space with Communicore Hall. I hope they do something great with it. I hope it looks really good. But of course, meeting Santa Claus, I know him. Santa's coming. That's going to be really great. So, yeah, you better watch out. He sees you when you're sleepy, and he knows when you're awake, and he knows when you're coming to Communicore. So, go visit Santa. Anybody going to Disney for the holidays this year? I love going to Disney for the holidays. It's like my favorite time to go to Disney. But since, we went in the fall this year, can't do everything, but I need to get back for the holidays. That's going to be awesome. I love holidays at Disney. But anyways, so other stories going on. I didn't get to mention this last time. This is a story that I was going to mention on the last MiM Monday, and I ran out of time and I didn't get a chance to talk about it. It's kind of a small story, but something that's really cool to me. And we're sticking with Epcot here, and that is that the outdoor portion of Test Track, when you make that cool like roundabout and you're going like 60 something miles per hour, they added on the pavement outside of that, they added the World of Motion logo. Did you guys see this? This is so cool. So, when you go around on the outside, they used to have like the Test Track logo kind of painted on the ground there. Now they added the Communicore logo, and as somebody who just loves and has a fascination with classic Epcot, and especially those classic round Epcot logos, I really like this. So I'm a big fan of like those old school Epcot logos. Every pavilion back when Epcot opened in '82 had its own logo, and so this new Test Track has a lot of nods to World of Motion, and the fact that they added the actual World of Motion logo outside is like the ultimate nod and the ultimate thing for a Disney nerd like myself. Now, we are going to talk about this. I know I keep saying this. I keep saying that we're going to record an episode about our trip to Disneyland and our Walt Disney World trip, and I keep saying that. And the truth is, we've been really busy with work, and me and my wife, we've both been sick, since we've been back and everything. It's been really busy, but we really are going to record that episode. But let me just say, that version of Test Track is the absolute best version of Test Track. And the ties to World of Motion are amazing. The ties to both previous versions of Test Track are amazing. And yes, I am all about the new Test Track. So if you haven't ridden the new Test Track, go do it. If you have, let me know in the comments down below. What do you think of that new Test Track? I'm curious. Or if you're watching this, of course, on YouTube or listening to it on the podcast, let me know. How do you like that new version of Test Track? I think it's really great. So moving on, let's move from Epcot over to the Magic Kingdom. And there's a couple stories at the Magic Kingdom. And one of them is that Teddy Barra over at the Country Bear Musical Jamboree has been missing for about a week. She was missing, and now she's back. And it was just kind of a random thing. So I love Country Bear Musical Jamboree. If you haven't been following the show, you know that I had a problem with them getting rid of the classic Country Bears and putting in this new version. And it was a whole thing. We did a whole like Future of Frontierland series. We did like 3 episodes on this where I'll be honest, I kind of complained about this new Country Bear update. But then when I finally wrote it, when was that? Kind of, I guess last November, I fell in love with it. I really liked it. And I got it. I understood. I was like, oh, that makes sense. That's what they were doing, and it's really good. And so this last trip, we went with my family. We took my or we went with my parents and my brother and my nieces and of course my sister-in-law, and we got to have some really good quality time with my nieces, and we took them to go see the Country Bears, and they loved it. They absolutely loved it. So they're like they're young. They're like 5 and 3, and they absolutely love the show. And at the end of it, one of my nieces looked at me and she goes, "I didn't know bears could talk." And of course, that's the Disney magic. So I just said, "Yeah, isn't that amazing? They can sing too." And we had the best time. So that's a core memory. That's a core memory now. So, but yeah, so Teddy Bar Up, she was gone from the Country Bears from September 11th. She was missing. She didn't come down on her swing, nor did she appear in that final sequence where they're all on the stage. And she was gone until September 19th. And I'm guessing there was something wrong with her. They had to refurbish her, but there's really been no explanation why she was gone. So it's an interesting, weird story that she was gone. Um, Another Magic Kingdom related story is that we got a sort of a new cool ship. It's being installed. So over in Tomorrowland, the cool ship, that was that cool structure that had the misters on it that would spray you, with mist. And they had that ship on the top that everyone would always say, "Oh, that's the ship from Flight of the Navigator." Apparently that's been disproven. I don't know if it has or not, but they got rid of that. That whole structure is gone, and they replaced it with a new structure that's being currently installed, and they don't have a Flight of the Navigator ship on it anymore. So that's interesting. But hey, what's going on? Dressed in Magic, thanks for joining. But it looks cool. So they're using the same architecture that they've been kind of installing, or I guess reinstalling in Tomorrowland, and that's like that early 70s architecture with a lot of whites and teals and touches of red, and then they have that like those white spires. They've been replacing all the signs. Hey, what's going on? Replacing all the signs in Tomorrowland with that. So like when you're walking down from the entrance of Tomorrowland, the new Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor sign is like that. It's like an oval attached to a spire, and so that's what the new cool ship kind of looks like. It's like the same size, and it has like kind of an overhang on it. It's white and teal, and it has this like white spire sticking on top of it. And personally, my Tomorrowland, the Tomorrowland that I grew up with as a a kid that grew up in the 90s, born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s. It's that Tomorrowland 1994 aesthetic that I grew up with, that I really love. And that's where a lot of this stuff came from, like the spaceship on top of cool ship and all that stuff. And it was like the future that never was, right? And so recently, the past like 5 years or so, they've been getting rid of all that stuff. And I guess replacing cool ship was part of that project. And I mean, what they have up so far, it looks cool. It was obviously like prefab somewhere, and they just kind of dropped it with the crane in place here. When I was there just a couple weeks ago, that was just a dirt pile. Um, it looks cool. I like the white spire kind of architecture. Hey, what's going on? More Magic PLZ has joined. Thank you so much for joining. I like the architecture, but I always remember driving by on the People Mover and seeing cool ship and thinking that's the ship from Flight of the Navigator, which apparently isn't true, but everybody thought that. And it's just one of those cool random things that we're not going to be able to say anymore. I guess now we're going to be those Disney adults that are saying, the old cool ship used to have the ship from Flight of the Navigator on there. So I don't know, whatever. It's cool. It's probably going to sell like Coca-Cola products and stuff, but I like it, I guess. it works with the aesthetic of the rest of it, and I think it blends in really well with like Tron in the background with all that white stuff. Hey, Gabriel Hernandez, thank you for joining. We're talking about some Disney news. Thanks for hanging out. Um, so yeah, new cool ship. Let me know in the chat. What do you think of the new cool ship? It hasn't opened yet, but if you've seen pictures online, do you think it looks cool? Do you think it looks bad? Do you miss the quote fly to the navigator ship? Let me know. I'm curious. So another random story that I want to talk about that happened at Walt Disney World that I just think is really weird and kind of funny. And you've probably heard about this already. The restaurant Paddlefish at Disney Springs was robbed, and they took like between $10,000 and $20,000. But what's interesting about this is that apparently the robber got to the restaurant wearing scuba gear, like some sort of like Bond villain or something. Like he went up the water and he came up to the restaurant scuba diving, and then he got inside, spray painted the camera so they couldn't see him anymore. Then he took off his scuba gear and apparently tied up the employees. No one got hurt or killed, thank God. But he tied up the employees, robbed the place, and then supposedly he put back on his scuba gear, jumped back in the water, and swam away. Isn't that a weird story? So, all right. So I see it in the chat. The chat's going off right now. Whoever would dive in Florida waters is wild, with an emoji of a crocodile, and then More Magic says that is so crazy. Yeah. So I saw this story come up on a bunch of news sites and Instagram, and I was just thinking, like, what is happening? It's like a heist movie, right? Like, who robs paddlefish with scuba gear? It's so weird. But yeah, so that water probably does have crocs or something in it. All right, I will tell you, like, I love riding from from Riverside down like the Sassagoula on like the boats and driving over to Disney Springs and stuff. And that waterway is really enjoyable, but I don't think it's that deep. So I don't know. I don't know what's going. It's a weird story. Also, the last thing I heard from some other news sources is that the police have no leads. They don't know who it was. Like, it's a complete mystery. So I don't know. That's insane. That's insane. I'm reading the chat. Didn't even think of the wildlife. Yeah, you don't know what's lurking. That's true. So, anyways, that's really weird. That's such an interesting story. That, all right. I will say, people knock paddlefish. I like paddlefish. I really like. But you guys like paddlefish? I think it's a really great restaurant. I had a really great time last time I was at Paddlefish. And yeah. So, all right, a lot of people think this is an actual boat. Paddlefish is not a real boat. It's a building meant to look like a boat that's built right on the water. It's not a real boat. So I know some people are thinking that it's not a real boat. But it's right off the water. So yeah. In the chat, they're saying it has to be an inside job. Yeah, I feel like, all right, for them to know exactly how to get there with the scuba gear, first of all, without like any like problems getting there, know where the cameras are in order to spray paint them, know, how to get into the room, know when they're putting away the money, know like it does feel like some sort of like a person who knows what's going on, right? Like, it's too much like, I don't know. I don't know. Could it be a disgruntled paddlefish employee? Could it be just a person who, I don't know, knows way too much about the Disney World waterways? I don't know. But that's weird and crazy. So I guess the only question is, will the scuba burglar strike again? Will they come back for more? If they got away with this, will they come back to Disney Springs? And if so, will Disney Springs be ready? Is there some sort of like scuba police like waiting? Oh my gosh, I'm just thinking of like, what is it, Big Daddy? Scuba Steve. I'm Scuba Steve. So I don't know. So yeah, dressed in magic, sounding off in the chat, saying I would never know exactly where they keep the cash if I wasn't an employee. Yeah, that's true. Or know when it came after closing when the people were handling the cash. They probably didn't have to break into a safe. Maybe they knew who and when they were handling the cash, or I don't know. Just a bizarre story, right? So weird. Excuse me. I love the chat. Boathouse better watch out. That's what I was thinking too. What do you? All right. Aside from like burglaring or burglaring, I don't know. What do you like better? Do you like Boathouse or Paddlefish better? They're both seafood restaurants on the water at Disney Springs. Boathouse for me. I like Boathouse better. I actually have. Hold on, let me grab her. This is Bodie. I've named her Bodie. I got the drink at Boathouse. You know the drink that comes with the rubber ducky. I kept her, and she lives on my desk, and I named her Bodie, and she's my friend. So, you guys ever gotten that drink? I don't remember what it's called, but it's like that blue drink that like has the rubber ducky in it. This girl. So, yeah, let me know. Boathouse for sure. Boathouse for sure. Okay. All right. We're voting Boathouse here. Boathouse here. Yeah. Oh, she's my friend. I love her. Bodie. So anyways, I got a couple more stories to talk about here. We can get off this weird story. Speaking, I guess, of weird stuff, but like awesome stuff. Are you guys fans of Mystic Manor? Have you guys ever been to Hong Kong Disneyland? I've never been to Hong Kong Disneyland. That's one of the places I would love to go to. They have an attraction over there called Mystic Manor, and that's their version, kind of the Haunted Mansion. It's a little different. It kind of ties into like the sea mythology, which is the Society of Explorers and Adventurers, and it's a really interesting ride. And what's cool about it is it's all original story, all original characters, not movie IP based, but original IP to the parks. And so they have some characters, Lord Henry Mystic and Albert the Monkey. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch on YouTube, find some ride throughs of Mystic Manor. It's just the coolest ride. Your son has and absolutely loved it. Your son's been to Hong Kong and ridden Mystic Manor. I am immediately jealous of your son. So the story here is not just that Mystic Manor is awesome, because everyone knows that, but they're gonna have Lord Henry Mystic and Albert walk around, meet and greet characters in Hong Kong. That's crazy. So in May 2026, as part of the Hong Kong Disneyland 20th anniversary, these characters are going to be out for meet and greets. That's amazing. So not only is it cool that have a new meet and greet character, but anytime you can make a meet and greet character out of an original character, I'm all for it. I mean, who here in Florida, or who in Florida doesn't love hugging Figment? So yeah, I feel like Albert is kind of like the Figment of Hong Kong, original to the park, just cool character. So yeah, I guess we all need to go and get tickets to Hong Kong now, right? To go and visit these characters. So cool. I would love to do that. I would love to meet them. I would love to ride the ride, but I feel like I've seen it enough on YouTube that, not that it's going to be any worse or anything, but I feel like I know it already. I feel like I can meet the characters and already be able to appreciate it to a certain extent. Let's see in the chat. Dressed in Magic says, I was in Tokyo Disney and couldn't make the jump to China. Some of the girls in my group went though. So, that's too bad you couldn't go, but don't downplay the fact that you were in Tokyo, girl. That's so cool. That's on my bucket list. Actually, so in 2 years, my wife and I are celebrating our 10th wedding anniversary. And our plan is to go to Tokyo for our 10-year anniversary. So I will be there in 2 years. That's the plan. It's in the books. We're saving money for it right now. So we will be in Tokyo in 2 years, and I could not be more excited. That's my dream. So as far as foreign parks go, Tokyo is my number one on my bucket list. That's why that's the first one we're going to. But eventually I want to go to all of them. Hopefully, that'd be great. Um, so yeah, that'd be a cool story to end on. But there is one more story that I do want to talk about. That's I think is kind of interesting, and that is that there's a new policy over at Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, and that is a no cell phone policy. So basically, sorry, I'm trying to plug in my computer because it's dying. There we go. So basically, uh, that's what it is. No phones on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. And I've seen a lot of comments and people saying like, "Oh, but Runaway Railway isn't an intense ride. It's not a roller coaster. Like, why can't I film on that or whatever?" And um, here's what I understand about this ride. It's a trackless ride system, so kind of like Rise of the Resistance or Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. And anytime something falls out of a ride vehicle and lands onto the floor, that calls for a stop of the attraction. So anytime you see or not anytime, but a lot of the times that you see Mickey and Minnie or Runaway Railway or Ratatouille go down, it's probably because something has fallen onto the ground and has set off the sensors. So that's why they tell you on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway also to take off your hats, right? Or take your sunglasses off your head. Because if things fall onto the floor, that causes a stop. So question in the chat, how do they police that? That's a good question. I mean, a lot of these rides, they have cameras everywhere, right? So they can see every single thing you're doing in every single show scene of every single ride. But that's honestly why, and so, all right, I have an Instagram, I have, Mickey Minutes, and I like to get content in the park as well. So I can see why it's frustrating. Like, oh, I can't film on Runaway Railway anymore. But at the same time, don't you think it's like a good thing that we don't have people dropping their phones on Runaway Railway and causing a breakdown or, a reset of the ride, which could take up to an hour sometimes? That just pushes back the ride and makes you not be able to ride it. It's just one of those things where, I think it's a fair trade, and again, as a content creator myself, I understand that it's frustrating, but I mean, you can film other places. It's not like there aren't videos of Runaway Railway all over the internet already. So I'm curious if this policy is going to come to other trackless rides. Like, are they going to start enforcing a no cell phone policy on Rise of the Resistance or on Remy's Ratatouille Adventure or something like that? I'm curious. And again, that's my speculation as to why they have this new policy for Runaway Railway. Honestly, it's probably right, but that's not exactly for sure. But it makes sense, right? So I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube or if you're listening to this on the podcast. Let me know, what do you think? Why do you think there's this new no cell phone policy at Runaway Railway? And do you think it's going to spread to other rides and more specifically to other trackless rides? In the chat, I see someone saying, Dressed in Magic saying, are we going to be Universal with lockers? Yeah, they're pretty strict in Universal as well, where you have to put away all your stuff for a lot of rides. And right now we only have Tron. I think Tron is the only ride in Walt Disney World that has lockers. I don't know. I wonder. I think it comes down to the fact where, can people be rule followers, right? If Disney's setting this rule, whether you agree with the rule or not, it's still a rule. Do you follow it? Or do you be a rebel and you film the ride and then accidentally, oops, I dropped my phone and oh no, the ride has stopped and it's all my fault. I don't know. I don't know. It's an interesting story. So I wonder if this is going to last. But apparently there are signs up already at Runaway Railway, at least in Disneyland, already that say no cell phones. So, it's like I said, it could be, it's a good thing, right? We don't want long lines. We don't want rides to break down. Actually, last time I was there, Runaway Railway actually did break down a couple of times to the point where I had an experience redemption. And I rode it once because I rope dropped it. I did it early in the morning. And then I had a lightning lane for it. And then it broke down and we never got to ride it again. So I had an experience redemption, which can be used for any ride. And I discovered something interesting about experience redemptions. If you go to a different park on the next day, your experience redemption still valid. So because of that Runaway Railway experience redemption, I got to ride Test Track using Lightning Lane twice on my Epcot day because I had a Lightning Lane and then I used an experience redemption, which was intended for Runaway Railway at Epcot on Test Track. So thanks, Runaway Railway, for letting me ride the new Test Track twice. So yeah, if you don't know, if you come to the end of the night and don't redeem your experience redemption for a ride that has broken down during your Lightning Lane window, you can use it in your park, in whatever park the next day. So yeah, very cool. So Dressed in Magic says that the conga part will get you on Runaway. Yeah, that's the part where you're going to drop your phone, right? The conga part. It always kind of catches me off guard. Like, I always know it's coming, and then it starts moving, and I'm always caught off guard. But yeah, it is really cool about experience redemptions. So yeah, that's it. Those are the stories I have for you today. This has been Mickey in Minutes Live. Thank you guys for hanging out in the chat today, and anybody who's listening to this after the fact on the podcast or watching this on YouTube. Thanks so much for hanging out. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what's the most interesting news story I talked about today, or your thoughts specifically on any of those news stories. Let me know. If you're listening on the podcast, give me a rating, a review, anything like that helps. And this is the best part. Please tell your fellow Disney friends about Mickey in Minutes, and let's spread the magic. Let's have a lot of fun together. I really enjoy doing Mickey in Minutes, especially these live shows, because I get to hang out with you. And if you missed the live show every Monday, 8:30 p.m. Central Time, I'm here, and you could be too. So thank you guys for helping me make Monday magical. Hey, thanks so much. Thanks in the chat. Thank you. More magic, please. Dressed in Magic and everybody else who's been in the chat today. Thank you so much for hanging out. And I will see you guys next time. Bye. Hey, what's going on, everybody?